Download this code and get free GPT-4o from codegive.com, link in the description below. Certainly. Centering an element using CSS with position, absolute is a common practice in web design. Below is a step-by-step tutorial explaining how to achieve this, along with a code example. ### tutorial, centering an element with position, absolute. Step 1, understanding position, absolute. When you set an element's position to absolute, it is positioned relative to the nearest positioned ancestor, i.e., an ancestor that has a position of relative, absolute, or fixed. If there is no such ancestor, it will be positioned relative to the initial containing block, usually the viewport. Step 2, setting up the HTML structure. You'll need a container element that will serve as a reference for the absolutely positioned element. Here's a simple example. Step 3, styling with CSS. Now, let's write the CSS to center the element. We will use the following properties. Set the dot container to have position, relative. Set the dot centered element to have position, absolute, and use top, left, transform to center it. Here's the CSS. ### explanation of the CSS. 1. Body styles. The body is styled to take full height, 100 vh, and the flex properties are used to center items vertically and horizontally. This is optional but helps make sure the container fills the viewport. 2. Container. The dot container has position, relative, which allows the absolutely positioned child to use it as a reference for positioning. 3. Centered element. Top, 50% and left, 50% position the top left corner of the element in the center of the container. Transform, translate, -50%, -50%, shifts the element back by half of its width and height, effectively centering it. ### final output. When you run the above code in an HTML file, you should see a green box with the text centered element perfectly centered in the middle of the gray container. ### conclusion. Using position, absolute along with transform is a powerful way to center elements in CSS. This method is responsive and works well for various screen sizes. You can adjust the dimensions and styles to fit your design needs.